Good afternoon here on KTC Broadcasting, WCSL 1590. Sheriff of Gastonia, I'm Tim Johnson, Ken Link. It's the best in sports, Ken.
Yeah, glad to be back here on this Wednesday afternoon, talk about a lot of sports that's transpired and some that's getting ready to transpire.
Got a great show today, Ken. We got some NFL draft we're going to jump into. Got some Carolina Panthers of their picks and stuff like that, and they've had some great picks, Ken, and I'm extremely happy with some of the picks that Carolina picked this week.
Yeah, I really like the draft that they ended up with, and I'll talk about some about every one of these guys they drafted, and I'm really positive about it and looking forward to this coming season.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of the talk has been about the running back, Mr. Christian McCaffrey, Ken.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that was projected that the Panthers would pick, and they did pick him. They wanted a running back. I wasn't surprised by the pick. This kid can do everything.
He can. Catch the football
Catch it,
out of the
run with
backfield.
it, great moves, great character, great football family. And he's something else I learned about him I didn't really know. He's only 20 years old.
He's young, Ken.
He's got a future.
Exceptionally young man, too. And I tell you, Ken, like you said, he comes from a great pedigree from his family. I mean, his dad won 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos, I believe it was.
Yeah, and his mother was a professional soccer player, and his grandfather, I think, was a Olympic athlete. So I mean, he's got in the bloodlines.
And I tell you, Cam Newton has to accept his new role. A lot of the talk has been that they want Cam Newton to be more like Tom Brady, Ken.
Yeah, and I think he will be. I think it helps to throw some of those shorter passes. You don't have to have every play to be a downfield route, and I think they're going to mix it up this year.
Yep.
And it's going to be good because the diversity is going to be there.
Yeah, you know, with McCaffrey, Ken, they could do a lot of things with him. He'll play some special teams too, I'm sure, maybe on punt returns as well. Also, you know, he's going to be like a Steve Smith kind of player, but he's going to be in the backfield a lot.
Yes, he is. Coach Rivera said that he didn't like his returners to do double duty, so he said McCaffrey will do punts. Somebody else to do kickoffs. Probably going to be the second pick to do the kickoffs, and that's Curtis Samuel. And we'll talk more about
Speedster.
him, too.
Yes.
They went to 2 guys that go dynamic speed that they did not have on offense. Now they've got that on offense.
Yeah, and they could do a lot with Samuel. They could put him, Curtis Samuel, in the slot position with McCaffrey in the backfield. I mean, you got one coming out of the backfield. Who's going to stick him? Is it going to be a linebacker, which cannot stick McCaffrey? And then you got Samuel in the slot. A linebacker can't stick him. So pick your poison, Ken.
Yeah, and if you pay them too much attention, there's a guy named Greg Olson that's pretty hard to cover one-on-one as well by linebackers.
You know, I'm to the point, Ken. I think the Carolina Panthers are going to be like must-see TV, and I think they're going to be a nightmare on defense for opposing defenses and so forth. And McCaffrey is going to bring a lot of that himself just by coming out of the backfield. Like you said, screen passes, little 5-yard passes, a lot what the like they said, the New England Patriots do. So I'm excited for that. And also Kelvin Benjamin, they picked up his 5th-year option.
Yeah, there's been some controversy about him. They reportedly came into voluntary camp a little overweight, and there's been a lot of discussion about that. But they've got the staff there to get his weight down. I'm not too concerned about it unless it becomes an issue where he doesn't really want to
put him at tight end.
Well, thing about a tight end, he got to block occasionally, and that hadn't been one of his strengths. So let's be honest about that.
Yeah, but you know they've got some players there, and their defense, Ken, they picked up a guy on defense too. What was it, an unsigned free agent? Is that correct?
They picked up a
from
guy
Clemson?
from Clemson. This guy was
Ben Boulware.
He won the Jack Lambert Award as best linebacker in the nation this year.
And didn't get drafted.
Was co-defensive player of the ACC. Was the leader of Clemson's defense, and he doesn't get drafted. Probably because people are concerned about his size. He's only 6 foot 238. His speed is only average, and they look at all those measurements at the combine.
They do.
I like to look at what he does on the field.
Absolutely.
And he can play.
Look at film. That'll determine whether a young man can play or not.
And I'll predict right now he will make the 53-man roster because he's going to be a terror on special teams, even if he ends up just being a backup linebacker.
Can you imagine him running down the field, Ken, and get ready
Oh, he
to
plays with an attitude.
Man. He does.
And he had this quote after he get drafted. He says, "I'm in the business of proving people wrong." He said, I just want the opportunity, just sit back and watch.
Absolutely.
So he basically said, boys, just watch.
Here
me.
I
I'll show
come.
you.
Here I come.
Yeah.
He's going to bring some toughness to the Carolina Panthers defense for sure, Ken.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the other unusual things in the
Absolutely.
draft, and we'll talk some more about some of the specific picks, both on the Panthers and Cowboys.
How about those Bears?
The Bears got everybody talking right out of the gate. Didn't take long.
I'm telling you, man. Traded up, one spot?
Traded up one spot from third in the draft to 2 in the draft, gave up 2 third rounds and a 4th round to get there, and then choose a quarterback, Trubisky, after they had just signed about a month and a half ago a quarterback for $45 million for 3 years,
Signed Glennon.
18 guaranteed, and so nobody expected them, even the 49ers who traded with them, wasn't expecting them to pick a quarterback. In fact, they thought they was going to grab the guy that the 49ers wanted, Solomon Thomas. But they didn't. And it turns out San Francisco got all these picks, and they still got Solomon Thomas with a 3rd pick.
Hey, Ken, look here. Mike Glennon's upset because they promised him to start in quarterback position. Well, here's the thing, and they go out and draft Trubisky. Now, here's what I don't understand is, you ever heard of competition, Ken? Competition will make you or break you.
Yeah.
So he's upset because John Fox, and I was told or I heard through the grapevine that John Fox wasn't happy with the pick with Trubisky. But, I mean, you got to have competition.
Yeah, I think Fox was more surprised that they're going after a quarterback. He was sort of in the dark to the last minute.
He wanted defense.
Yeah.
That's what he's a defensive-minded coach.
So, and the thing about Glennon, he's a little upset because they invite him to the big draft party.
Yeah. And they pick a quarterback.
They pick his replacement. He didn't know what to think about that. So the Bears had everybody talking about that.
That's like going to eat steak and potato and you end up eating ham sandwiches.
Yeah.
That's not good, Chad.
Here's the other thing that surprised me, Tim.
Yeah.
As I looked at that draft, there were so many good defensive players, and yet in the first 10 picks, we had 7 offensive players. Now, I knew we'd have 2 running backs taken, Fournette and Caffrey. And I knew somebody might go after quarterback. So we had 2 quarterbacks taken. But we had 3 wide receivers. Going into the draft, nobody thought there was going to be any wide receivers taken in the top 10. Maybe in the first round, but not 10. 3 wide receivers went in the top
first.
10.
Absolutely. And I tell you, I like Corey Davis. You know, he went to the Tennessee Titans.
I was surprised that he went, and of course Clemson's Mike Williams went, and then John Ross.
John Ross is the one I'm surprised
about. The speedster, which, man, somebody went and grabbed him, and like you said, most folks thought he would go later.
Yeah, he's definitely a first-round pick. But like you said, Ken, earlier, he's more of a Deshaun Jackson type of football player. You know, he's speed. If he gets behind the safeties or he gets behind the corner, I mean, he's gone. He's gone.
Here's the other thing that surprised me a little bit. One of the guys that we'd talked a lot about, no doubt the best offensive tight end guy in the draft.
Oh, man.
O.J. Howard starts falling.
He's going to Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay falls in Tampa Bay's lap at 19, and they couldn't get there fast enough to turn that in.
I was talking to Andre before you left here, and Andre, he's a big Buccaneers fan, and I told Andre, I said, Andre, you guys got the best football player in the draft, first round to 7th round. This kid is exceptional.
Great value.
Special player.
I never thought he'd drop that far.
I didn't either.
But draft day, you never know what's going to happen. I'll tell you something else the Bears did, and this is more of a local thing, Tim. They chose somebody I heard you mention one time, the human joystick. The human joystick is a guy named Tariq Cohen, who is from North Carolina A&T. This guy is fast. He's got unbelievable moves, and I was glad he got taken, but I was surprised he got taken as high as he did. 4th round, 119th pick. Now, this guy's a little bit like Darren Sproles as far as size. 5'6", 170. But that was an interesting pick, too. The only thing about Sproles returned kicks. This guy never returned kicks. He just runs the ball.
Right.
But he's called the human joystick.
Good football player.
Oh, he is a good football player.
So, Darren Sproles is pretty good, too.
Yeah,
he's still good.
Yeah, still good.
All right, Ken, how about them Cowboys?
Well, I tell you what.
Tell the truth, Ken. Come on.
I tell you one thing about the Cowboys. I love the guy they picked as slot receiver. Switzer from North Carolina is going to be a heck of a pick for them.
Ken, I tell you what they're going to do. They're going to take Jason Witten off the field and put Switzer on the field, and they're going to run probably 5 wide receivers, and you're going to have to pick your poison between him and Cole Beasley. I mean, there's no linebacker going to stick either one of those guys. They're so quick and fast. It's going to be a little bit like the New England Patriots type of offense. And here's another thing, too, Ken. When they do that, Witten's in there to block because of the running game. Well, just imagine when you take Witten off the field, what does that do to the opposing defense? They have to go small.
Oh, yes.
So who's going to be running the football? Zeke the Freak.
Yeah, they got a lot of diversity now. And the thing about Switzer, he'll help the return game, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously. I mean,
absolutely.
He's a threat when that game. And
he's a player.
He is a player. He's small, but, he played 4 years at North Carolina. He's out there all the time, returning kicks, receivers. He only missed one game his whole career. He's a tough little guy.
He is tough. And I tell you, Dallas defensive end Taco Charlton was a first-round pick, Ken, at 28th pick. Then they got two cornerbacks in the next pick. They had Shadobi Awuzie, and then they picked up Jordan Lewis. And I'm going to tell you, Jordan Lewis, Ken, was a first-round pick, and he fell to the third round strictly because of his off-field issues. Now, from my understanding, all that stuff is going to be cleared up. So, you got Ryan Switzer, who in the fourth, I said they got him in the fourth round, I believe it was, Ken, in the fourth round. So, that's 4 quality football players right there. And they're going to make a difference on Dallas's football team this year. And that defense is going to be a whole lot better. So, overall, Will McClay, he's the scouting personnel director. Unbelievable job. Did a first-class job, Ken. And I'm going to tell you, that gentleman could work, without a doubt, as a GM somewhere. But he's had offers, but he's sticking with Dallas. So he wants to get Jerry Jones another Super Bowl, and I tell you, he's on the right track.
Yeah, the Cowboys ought to be happy with that draft.
Oh, we're ecstatic.
And the Panthers are really happy with theirs. We talked about a couple players already at the top of the draft that they took with McCaffrey in the first round, Curtis Samuel early second round, but late late second round, they had a 64th pick. They took a kid and they called, his name's Taylor Moton.
Moton.
Yes. This guy's big offensive tackle. Played at Western Michigan, which is smaller school.
Sure.
But he performed well when he played the Ohio States and the other guys like that. So he showed he can play, and he really did well at the combine. As far as athletically, he's athletic as well as strong. Here's the other thing about him, Tim. He's pretty smart. He's already graduated and working on his MBA. And I heard somebody interview him on the radio. Very well spoken, got his act together, knows what he's doing. I look for him to not only get some playing time this year, he could take over that right tackle spot for the Panthers. He's that good. So
right.
I was happy we got that guy.
Well, that's great, Ken. So we got some good quality picks there for you Panthers and of course, for the Cowboys. And I think I really believe the Panthers are going to be back at the top of that NFC South, Ken. I think it's going to be them and Tampa Bay. I don't think Atlanta's going to be there like they have been, like they were last year, actually. So I'm picking the Panthers. I'm picking the Panthers to win 10 games, Ken. I'm going 10-6.
That's pretty positive outlook. I'll go 10-6, 9-7. That's a tough division.
It is.
Of course, there's only 4 teams in that division. Even if you lose a few, if you do pretty good outside the division, you're still going to have a pretty good record.
I think the Saints are going to improve this year too. But I think Tampa Bay could win 10 to 11 games.
Well,
if they stay healthy, if their defense come around, I think they could win 10 or 11 games. They got a young football team.
It could be this South NFC could be as tough as any division in the NFC.
Well, it's probably right now. I say the NFC East, Dallas and Washington, Philadelphia, and the Giants. I say they're probably number one. I see the South is right there. I'd say they're right there with them. And if you think about it, in the past, the South has always been competitive. They've always had one of the toughest divisions, in football in the NFC side. So I'm picking the Cowboys. I was talking to Kevin earlier, and I told the Cowboys going to win 12 games. We're going 12-4, Ken.
Yeah, but how many playoff games are you going to win?
We're going to win them all. We're going to win them all, Ken. I'm hoping. So I'm keeping my. But the Giants, I think Dallas and the Giants, Ken. The Giants had a great draft too. Now I like what the Giants did with Evan Ingram I think he's from Ole Miss. They say he's faster than Odell Beckham. Can you imagine being that fast and a tight end, Ken?
Wow.
And he's as big as Brandon Marshall, they said.
Wow.
And I tell you, they're going to be hard to stop. Their offense is going to be really special. So, but the only thing difference I see in that ball team and the Cowboys is their offensive line. Dallas has got 3, possibly 4 all-pro offensive linemen. And that's big when you get into November and December and January when it's cold, Ken. You gotta run the football.
Oh yeah, you got to be able to do that. The 3 basics. You got to be able to run the football, stop the run, and rush the passer. You got to do those 3 things well in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. One thing I want to mention, a little tidbit of information: a local guy, first NFL draftee from the Charlotte 49ers.
Yes.
Defensive tackle Larry O'Gundy.
Saw that today.
This kid, I heard an interview with him. His parents are originally from Nigeria. He's born in this country. But this kid, he loved playing video games. So he went in his freshman year in high school, he's sitting around playing video games, 350 pounds, and his mom said, "You going to play football?" He said, "I don't like football." She said, "Well, I'm signing you up. You're going to play football." She took him to school and said, "You're going to play football." Made him play football. He played his sophomore year of football at 350. He said he didn't even like it. He said he started liking it a little bit at the end of his sophomore year. So he talked to his coach. He said, "Some of these guys going off college to play football." So what you got to do that? This guy, he just don't know much about football. Never had paid that much attention. They said, "Well,
his mama must know a little bit about football."
But the coach said, "Look, you got to work on your technique. You got to work harder physically." He lost from 350 to 267 his sophomore year.
Wow.
He got serious about it. He's been serious about it ever since.
And
he got drafted by the Browns.
How about that?
First pick in the 3rd round, 65th pick overall.
Wow.
He got drafted. And
congratulations,
this
young
kid's
man.
got his head on straight, and he'll make it.
Congratulations to his mom, too, for getting him in football. How about that?
Big defensive tackle.
You know, Ken, got a few people want to do a shout-out to. Guy Sleason, who's a good friend of mine. He works at FedEx with me. Guy is starting a State Farm Insurance actually in August. He works for them already right now down in Denver. Guy's a good friend. So, Guy's going to be one of our sponsors from what I've been told, hopefully, after August. And also, I want to say hello to there's a gentleman I work with every morning. He's a driver. He drives the home delivery route in Lincoln. I'm talking about Mr. Lendl Hoffman. Lendl gave me a really hard time, Ken, for not mentioning his name last week on the radio. Lendl is a big West Lincoln. Let me tell you about Lendl, Ken. He's the gentleman that I won all those drinks from last year. Remember? Football betting on Lincoln.
Yeah, all them bets you said you won.
Yeah, I won so many drinks from Lendl, so many sun drops, Ken. I'm telling you the truth. I had to go out and buy me a sun drop machine and put it in my home and stock those drinks in there that I won from Lendl.
I figured you drank so many sun drops you got a kidney stone or something.
I'm telling you, man, I'd give him 40 and 50 points a game. And also him and Randy Emmon, they worked side by side. They the ugliest rascals you ever seen in your life, Ken. I'm telling you. They're 2 good boys, but I'm telling you right now, those guys have been with FedEx forever. But Lendl, I want to say hello to you. I want to thank you for joining in with us here on The Best in Sports. Also, Randy Emmon. Randy's the one who does our Facebook and our Twitter. So those guys are great people, and we're glad having them. Also, Scott Cloninger out there. Scott, hello to Scott. And had a chance to ran into Richard Smith and Patty up at the up in Cherryville at the Cherry Blossom. Saw the entertainers, and then I saw them at in Vesper City, Ken. The Embers are there, so it's always good seeing Coach Smith and of course his lovely wife, Miss Patsy. She's she is absolutely the best, Ken.
I'd like
good
to
people.
Shout out to my wife's uncle. She's speaking to him on the phone this afternoon, and I told him to tune in on CSL 1590. Harold Cook. Say hello to Harold. He's a sports fan, and he and I talk sports whenever we're able to get together a little bit.
Can't forget about Scott.
Scott Link, my brother, he tunes in when he can. I think he's not working in the Asheville area a little bit, so he can probably spend a little more time listening to us.
You're listening to The Best in Sports, WCSL.
You're the best station.
I love the station.
Big O Country, 1590 AM, WCSL, Cherryville, Gastonia. Online at KTC Broadcasting.com.
Don't miss this Saturday night at Hickory Motor Speedway. We bring you the Scott McCorkle's Liberty Buick GMC Trucks 300, presented by MTP Tire and Racing Center, featuring 300 laps of racing action for the Cars Racing Tour late models and the Cars Racing Tour super late models. Past track champions Josh Berry, Austin McDaniels, and Dexter Knight Jr. will be there, along with fan favorites Tyler Church, Brandon Setzler, Anna Beth Barnes Crum, and Ty Gibbs. Gates open at 5, racing at 7 p.m. Tickets $20 for adults, kids under 12 free. It will be a hot night of racing at the Saturday night, May 16th, Hickory Motor Speedway. Don't miss it.
It's the 5th Annual Crossroads Festival this Saturday, May 6th in Bowling Springs. Be sure to pick up this week's What's Up Shopper for a list of activities. It'll be on South Main Street in Bowling Springs from 12 noon till 4 p.m. There will be vendors and exhibitors from all over the area, plus a children's story time, gravity check juggling, a police canine demonstration, and more. Our What's Up Shopper page sponsors include the America Inn in Bowling Springs, Professional Pharmacy in Bowling Springs, West End Sales in Vail, Bowling Springs Carpet and Tile in Bowling Springs, the Bulldog Quick Snack in Bowling Springs, Folks Cleaners in Bowling Springs and Shelby, Homestead Landscape Supply and Feed on College Avenue in Shelby, Real Estate Diversified on East College Avenue in Bowling Springs, Ed Stiebel Imports on College Avenue in Shelby, by Watson Fetishin and Associates in Bowling Springs, and by Parker Farm Service in Shelby. The 5th Annual Crossroads Festival this Saturday, May 6th, 12 noon till 4 p.m. on South Main Street in Bowling Springs.
In today's housing marketplace, the advantage goes to the seller. Gaston County is becoming a go-to location for new home buyers, but a seller's advantage is only as good as the realtor involved. That's where Moss Realty comes in. They're dependable, honest, and hardworking for you, the seller. Give them a call at 704-865-5555 or log on to mossrealty.com. The number again, 704-865-5555. That's Moss Realty.
It's time to tee it up at the Deerbrook Golf Club on Highway 180 North in Shelby. It's the friendly club and open to the public every day. Play and ride 18 holes Monday through Friday for $32. After 2 p.m., just $27. Weekends, play and ride 18 holes for $44 and $39 between 12 and 2 p.m. and $34 after 2 p.m. Seniors, play and ride Monday through Friday for $27. The Deerbrook Golf Club, Highway 180 North of Shelby.
Hello, this is Milton Baker from Memory Lane Antiques and Finds in downtown Krause beside the post office. Well, Sunday, May 14th is Mother's Day, and you've got time to come in Memory Lane and shop for some great Mother's Day gift ideas. Plus, register to win a door prize for Mother's Day. We'll have something very nice you could give your mom or grandmother or significant lady in your life. That's the drawing for Mother's Day at Memory Lane Antiques and Finds. It's absolutely free. No age limit. Come in and register once per visit to Memory Lane Antiques and Finds. Come see all we have to offer, and the store is more roomy now. We have lots of open space, and you can shop as long as you like. Memory Lane Antiques and Finds, downtown Krause, open Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. till 5 p.m., Saturday, 10 to 3. At other times, just give us a call.
There's a threat targeting America: Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, this dangerous disease can cause life-changing health problems and is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. So it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside and seeing a doctor if you experience the warning signs, which can include joint pain and flu-like symptoms. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Play trivia every morning from 6 a.m. to 9 o'clock right here at Big O Country. 4 big games each morning. Join us for trivia right here at Big O Country, WOHS, WCSL, and WLON.
Okay, we're back. Ken Link and Tim Johnson here on the Best in Sports Show here on Wednesday afternoon. We appreciate folks listening. Shout out to a friend of mine, Mr. Bumgarner, Jeff Bumgarner out there, whose son we've watched play a lot of ball, both West Lincoln and also Legion ball, and I look forward to seeing Jeff at the games, the Legion ball games, and seeing Jeff play again this year.
Absolutely, Ken. Jeff's a big golfer, too, as well.
That.
And Matt can hit it a long ways, and we know Matt well. Like you said, Ken, we watched him play a lot of baseball. I've known Matt and Jeff all my life. Matt's at Montreat College doing a great job, and he's a big Legion man up at American Legion Post 100 for Cherville for Bobby Dale. So I know Bobby Dale's looking forward to getting Matt back. And from my understanding from talking to Jeff, Matt's pitching sensational, and so he's playing a little bit of shortstop. So I'm sure he'll probably be the shortstop for Bobby as well, Ken.
Well, I can't wait till Legion baseball gets underway. We'll be talking more about that as we get a little closer, because it'll be
Big
gearing
Legion
up
show.
real quick.
Big show.
And we'll cover Legion baseball extensively once we get going on this, and we'll talk a lot about Post 100 as well as other Legion teams in the area, and even in the other areas like Area 3 some.
Absolutely. Ken, speaking of golf, next Friday you could come out and meet myself and Ken down at Verdict Ridge Golf Course. That is an absolutely spectacular golf course if you've never been there before. Come on out. We'll be there from 8 o'clock until probably about 2 or 3 o'clock that afternoon. It is the Catawba Springs Teed Up Golf Tournament. It's a charitable organization. Actually, Mr. Kevin Hastings' wife works there at Catawba Springs. And
Catawba Springs Elementary.
She does.
And that's what it's for. They're teed up for technology. They're raising funds for that.
Absolutely. So we want to tell our listeners, if you'd like to get in that tournament too, you can contact down there at the Pro Shop, and they can set you up with a team there for that organization there at for Catawba Springs Teed Up Technology, and also there at Verdict Ridge. Know those people well there, Scott and Eddie Knox. Good people, Ken.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit of baseball.
Let's do it.
The regular season in high school has finished up, and there's some conference tournaments going on, but I want to go over sort of how the final standings finished up and locally. In the 1A conference with Cherville and Lincoln Charter and Highland Tech and Bessemer City and those teams in there is interesting. As it ended up, Cherville and Lincoln Charter tied at the top. Both of them with 14-2 records, and right behind them was Highland Tech. So both there's 3 good teams out of that conference, and another good team, Bessemer City, upset Cherville on the last regular season game to actually force the tie at the top.
Absolutely. And I tell you, Ken, Bessemer City is playing pretty good baseball.
Yeah, they did. There's another team in that. If you look at the standings, Cherville and Lincoln Charter tied at the top. Highland Tech was third with 12-4 record. Pine Lake was 4th seed in that.
12-5,
11-5. And then Bessemer City was 8-8. And so those teams were the top teams in that conference. And I don't know how many with 1A. There's a lot of teams that
I know at least 4 get
to go. So I think these 4 will be there. Maybe a 5th will go there. And the regular season's over. As I said, there's some conference tournaments going on. And this week in the conference tournament, Cherville, Lincoln Charter, Highland Tech, and Pine Lake have all won. So that's your top 4, and they all won their first game. So tonight's games, you got Cherville versus Pine Lake and Lincoln Charter versus Highland Tech. And then winners of those games will play for this conference tournament championship.
Well, I wonder if that lefty's pitching for Highland Tech.
I saw he pitched last night in the win. They won 6-1. So I would think. Look, I saw he threw 86 pitches, so he will not be pitching today.
So what they're doing is they're trying to hopefully win tonight, so they'll have him pitching championship game.
Probably,
and that will be one great pitching debut. And you go out and watch those. I guarantee you, Acre probably pitched for Cherville.
Yeah, Cherville pitched committee last night. Well, they pitched. It was a 5-inning game. They won 19-0. So one guy pitched 3 innings, one pitched 2, and it wasn't any of their top pitchers. So I mean, their pitching's in good shape.
So that's the 1A Athletic Conference, Ken.
Yeah.
The 2A, the SD7 2A Conference. You got East Lincoln, 14-8, 10-4 in the conference. Bunker Hill, Maiden, West Caldwell, West Lincoln, Lincolnton, Bandy's, and Newton Conover. That's the order. Now, Ken, we had a major upset.
Absolutely. So they started their conference tournament. East Lincoln against the 1-1 seed against the 8th seed, Newton Conover. Newton Conover beat them last night.
That's unbelievable, Ken. And what was the score? 6-1? Is that what I saw?
I think it was 6-4.
6-4, something like that.
6-4, something like that. Anyway, and then there's another upset. Bandy's, who's 7th seed in the conference, upset Maiden.
Bandy's beat Maiden. So now you got West Caldwell beat West Lincoln,
and Bunker Hill beat Lincoln. So your Lincoln County teams all went out.
They're done. So you got Bunker Hill. They're playing Bandy. Is that correct? And you
That's
got
correct.
West Caldwell playing Newton Conover.
That's correct.
I got my money on Bunker Hill. Marty Curtis and Bunker Hill is going to win that tournament.
They very well may.
That's the person I'm putting my money on. And I tell you, Ken, East Lincoln, wonder what seed they're going to go into in the state tournament. You think probably about an 8 seed?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that'll
they
work
won,
out.
They won the league, did they not?
They won the league, so they'll get a pretty good. Then they'll play some home games probably, but how many I don't know.
In Bunker Hill, I told you Bunker Hill was hot the other week. I said they're probably the hottest team in the tournament. So West Lincoln, I said you got East Lincoln, Bunker Hill, Maiden, West Caldwell. Is West Lincoln going to be left out of the state tournament, Ken?
Well,
I can't remember.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't know how many go. I know they're down there with 5th and 6th seed. I mean, that's where they were at.
And Lincoln played so well this year,
Yeah,
Ken.
they
to
did.
be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and they may not make it in, and West Lincoln might not make it in either. So we'll see when the bids come out. I don't know.
I hope West Lincoln and Lincoln both make it, but that's tough to be sitting on that. Be
close
on that close, and knowing that there's an opportunity you might get in, then again you may not. So
and see the tournament. If you do pretty good in the conference tournament, it might have helped you some. If you're if you're on the verge there of
yes,
on the bubble of getting in or not getting. Another Lincoln County team, North Lincoln, did win in their first game in the conference tournament last night. They beat Mooresville, and by doing that, they get the opportunity to face Lake Norman, the number 1 seed out of that conference. Number 1 seed, Lake Norman, won that conference, and I think
I saw in the paper
North Lincoln was like the 5th seed. They were like 4 teams above them. They had finished, I think, 8 and 6 in the conference.
I saw in the paper where they had Trevor Whitley and Brady Drennan. Both of them boys pitched. They pitched a one-hitter, Ken.
Wow.
From what I saw, a one-hitter last night. So I saw Trevor Whitley's mom yesterday at the middle school game at North Lincoln. Patriot. I was talking to Patriot.
Well, that game was a 8th inning 1-0 ball game.
Really?
Yeah, it went 8 innings and 1-0 was.
And one hitter. And them boys combined for a one-hitter. Brady Drennan and them boys did. That's awesome. That's unbelievable. And also, Ken, let's see. So, North Lincoln, they'll be playing Lake Norman High School. Is that right?
Yeah.
Lake Norman High School.
Lake Norman High School, who, like I say, won that lead this year. They was number 1 seed coming out.
Well, that's awesome, Ken. All right, Kenny, how about some Major League Baseball?
Well, let's talk about Major League Baseball a little bit. We got 1 month in, 1/6 of the season, so there's a lot of baseball to be played. But right now, in the American League, you got the Orioles and Yankees tied in the East, and Boston not too far behind. Boston and Baltimore just had a series, and they got a lot of no love lost between those. There was a sail through at Machado yesterday, although he wasn't really trying to hit him. He's sending a message. He threw behind him, knee level, and he didn't like it. And it's all about Machado spiked Cordelia, but we didn't mean to do it. So there's a little bit of controversy going back and forth between those, and it always is between the Red Sox and the Orioles.
Ken, I was watching a little bit of ESPN. Did I see what I saw on ESPN that the Yankees have 5 home runs last night? Is that correct?
Yeah, they had 5 home runs, and this kid, his name is Aaron Judge.
Right.
Young kid. This guy came at about 6'7", 280. This kid is raking. He hit 2 last night, got 12 home runs off.
So is the Yankees young team?
Yeah, they got a young team. They got a couple veterans. They got a lot of young players now.
That's good. Hey, hold that thought, Ken. We got a commercial. We're going to go to a commercial, here, and we'll be right back after these messages from our fine sponsor here on WCSL.
We're here from the start of your workday
on my way to work
till quitting time.
Big O Country, WCSL 1590 AM, Cherryville, Gastonia. Online at KTCBroadcasting.com.
I'm Lon Helton, inviting you to join me as I count down the week's top 30 with Sam Hunt, who tells me all about his new wife, Hannah.
We've known each other a while and feel like we've kind of grown up together over the last several years and reached the place now where we want to get married.
That's newlywed Sam Hunt this week on Country Countdown USA.
Country Countdown USA, Wednesday afternoons at 1 o'clock on Big O Country, 1590 AM WCSL, and online at KTCBroadcasting.com.
It's time to take advantage of the all-inclusive membership at Westport Golf Club. Join now and you save $250 on initiation. The Westport Club membership includes access to their 18-hole championship golf course, 8 lighted clay tennis courts, a junior Olympic-sized pool with 26-foot dual tube slide and fountain area, plus a fitness center, weight room, and cardio equipment, plus personal trainers, yoga, Pilates, and Zumba classes are offered. For more details, call the Westport Golf Club at 704-489-8088.
For over 100 years, the Stamey Tysinger Funeral Home in Falston has been providing services to families of our community with care and compassion. And now the Stamey Funeral Home has added the Cremation Center along with a new name, the Stamey Tysinger Funeral Home and Cremation Center. The Stamey Tysinger Funeral Home and Cremation Center on Highway 182 in Falston, and the Stamey Funeral Home in Cherryville, located on Dixie Street in Cherryville, serving you with care and compassion in your time of need.
Baseball players rely on lots of coaches. First base, third base, pitching, and catching. But when it comes to insurance, you only need one coach, an Allstate agent. They'll help you with your insurance game plan. Plus, Allstate agents can bundle your coverage for your car, apartment, boat, motorcycle, and more. So you've got all your bases covered. Are you in good hands?
Hey, sports fans, call Allstate agent John Brown at 704-435-1920 today. Located at 503 East Main Street in Cherryville. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Cherryville Ironman Sports right here on Big O Country, WCSL 1590 AM, Cherryville, Gastonia. Online at ktcbroadcasting.com.
We're back at WCSL, the best in sports. Tim Johnson and Ken Link every Wednesday from 4 to 5. Well, thank all our listeners out there, Ken.
Absolutely. We appreciate folks tuning in and texting us, giving us a little call, saying they're listening to us, and we're going to continue.
Sounding good, Ken.
Continue to talk a lot of sports. Was in the baseball topic. Something I love to talk about. Talking a little bit about Major League Baseball.
How about the Braves, Ken? Where's the Braves at?
Well, the Braves are 11-14. They are not in last place in the division. They're the Mets are. The Mets are 11-15, and the Mets are struggling. They've had some injuries. Cespedes went down, and Tim, another injury this week.
Noah Syndergaard.
To their ace pitcher.
Yep. He's got the same injury that Alec had his junior year in high school. He's got it's partial torn labrum, and he was saying he's going to be out for a few weeks. Ken, we know better than that.
He's going to need surgery to be out for a while. It was interesting that he was having a problem with his bicep, they said, and they pushed his start back once, and he's having a problem again, and they wanted him to take an MRI, and he said, I'm not going to take an MRI, I'm fine. And then he goes out, and then he probably was injured anyway, but then the injury gets worse, and they had to pull him off the mound.
Well, anytime, Ken, my son had a serious injury. He tore his labrum 90%. His bicep was torn completely off the bone, and his rotator cuff was 30% torn, Ken. And I can remember watching him pitch his junior year, even toward the end of his sophomore year, and when he was pitching for Coach Reynolds up there in Cherryville in the playoffs, he kept shaking his arm and stuff. And I watched Syndergaard on TV. He had the same symptoms that Alec did.
Yeah.
And I said he's got the same. Watch how he's on. And what happens is your labrum, Ken, it's like a bone in there, and it pops out. The labrum's a little fine tissue, and it keeps your shoulder in, and it pops out. But
that's a serious injury.
It's serious. It really is.
It's a little bit different than a Tommy John type situation.
And he's a violent pitcher when he throws the baseball.
He is. Well, pitchers are violent.
They are. It's like a whip.
This day and time. And what the baseball folks want pitchers to do is go out there and throw as hard as you can, as long as you can.
Absolutely.
And if you only go 5 or 6 innings, that's okay.
They got more.
We're going to bring in the bullpen.
Middle reliever.
And
absolutely.
I believe because they do it that way, you got more arm problems. That's just my belief. Like you say, that can be discussed, and a lot of people believe differently, but you just see so many arm problems nowadays.
You got Ryan Zimmerman and Josh Harper.
Bryce Harper.
I'm sorry, Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper and Zimmerman, who just tearing the cover off the ball for the Washington Nationals. And the Washington Nationals they beat somebody 23-5 of Sunday. And I want to tell you about you talk about baseball, you never know what's going to happen. These two guys have been tearing the cover off the ball. Somebody who has not been tearing the cover off the ball Anthony Rendon, third baseman for them. Coming into this game Sunday, Tim, he was hitting .226 with no home runs in 84 at-bats with only 5 RBIs.
Wow.
And so what does he do Sunday? Goes 6 for 6, 3 home runs, and 10 runs batted in.
That's a month.
That's a month in one day.
That's a month in one day.
That just goes to show you never know what you're going to see
Absolutely.
at a baseball game.
Yeah. When you get hot, Ken, you're hot.
Absolutely.
And he got pretty hot in that
He got
game.
pretty hot, but nobody could have predicted that. And on the other side, the couple of teams that are really struggling are the Blue Jays, the Mets we mentioned, and the Giants. I mean, all of them in last place, and they're getting so far behind. As somebody said, I think it's going to get late early for them as far as them being able to come back. But you can't win it you can't win the pennant in the first month, but you can lose it in the first month.
You can lose it.
And I think a couple of teams have.
Yeah, well, in college baseball, Ken, you still have 4 ACC teams still ranked in the top 10 in the country. You got Oregon State, number 1, 34-4, Ken. You also have Louisville, number 2. You got UNC Tar Heels, number 3, and the Clemson Tigers, number 6, and Virginia Cavaliers at number 10, Ken.
Yeah, the UNC moved up a notch from 4th place last week. And on this ACC, as I said last week, they can really play some baseball as well as other sports. And so it's going to be interesting as the conference winds down and you get into tournaments and you start the actual College World Series. And we'll have to follow all these teams. But,
Absolutely.
There's some good ball being played in the ACC, that's for sure.
Got a couple kids I coach in college playing. Josh McLean from Alexander Central High School playing for NC State. He's a starting center fielder. Of course, Chandler Jenkins, who's going to East Carolina. Chandler's playing for CVCC. Got Matt Bumgarner, who's playing at Montreat. So got a lot of kids around this area playing some college ball. And speaking of college ball, when these kids get out of college, Ken, their first year, some of them can come back and play Legion ball at their hometown, and some of them go off and play college league ball. And the Mooresville Spinners, Mr. Philip Lofton, I talked to Philip yesterday. He's the general manager of the Mooresville Spinner. Great organization, great place to go on a Friday night, Saturday night, on a weekend to watch a great baseball game. They play 7 days a week, Ken, and they travel as far as Virginia as well. My son played last year with them. Had a great time. The atmosphere is unbelievable. It's a lot like the Gastonia Grizzlies. They're in Gastonia.
It's a wooden back
It's a wooden back league.
Similar to the Grizzlies.
Absolutely. A lot of great talent, Ken. A lot of kids from our area play there. So, and their opening night is going to be May 19th. I'll be there. Hopefully you'll be there. So we're going to have some fun down at Mooresville Spinners. And so I want to invite everybody to come out. Philip Lofton, if you need to get in contact with the Mooresville Spinners, you can contact Philip Lofton of the Mooresville Spinners. He's the GM there. And great guy. My son played ball for him. Also, Philip was one of the coaches when Lincoln County Cardinals, Bruce Bullock and them boys.
Yeah, when they made
went
their
deep.
run
Yes, they did.
in Legion play and actually went
great
to the
baseball team.
state tournament that year.
Yep. So we're looking forward to going down to Mooresville Spinners.
And I'm getting excited to talk about
Legion
and some of the kids that are graduating from high school and playing Legion. Some people are still in high school playing Legion. I get excited about that, and every year for the Post 100 team, I sort of do a little bit of scouting about who I think is going to be on the team, and obviously Coach Reynolds is not asking for my input, but it's fun just to look at who they got coming back, who are the kids around in the area that's going to be playing for them. There's a tremendous amount of talent in Legion baseball in Area 4 as well as Area 3. Obviously, Rowan County played for the World Series Championship last year as a representative from Area 3. And what happens is, how good is it? Every year in the past 8 or 9 years, only been 1 year in which the winner of the Southeast region was not a team from North Carolina or South Carolina. So that tells you how good this region is as far as representing.
Well, South Carolina won a couple of years ago, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Absolutely. That kid played shortstop, could just absolutely rake it.
Absolutely. He was I don't know where he's at now. I think he's in the minor league system now, I think, but he could rake it, and he was smooth at shortstop. Pretty good size kid, about 6'3", And, of course, shortstops are getting bigger nowadays. You see big shortstops in the major leagues. Used to you didn't do it, but now you see those 6'2", 6'3"
Cal
guys.
Ripken is the beginning.
He's beginning of that, and then you got Tulowitzki, you got Machado, you got these big guys now.
So talent-wise, for the Cherville post-100 American Legion team this year, we got to get Coach Reynolds on the show to talk a little bit about his team this year. We'll do that in the next couple of weeks. But I'm assuming they've already had practices and stuff like that. I would
have thought so. They've obviously would have had sign-ups by now and probably practice some on Sunday. Obviously, you can't play a Legion ball while you're still playing high school ball
playoffs as well.
But you can show up on Sunday and hit bat and practice, those kind of things. So,
and also, Ken, a lot of people out there, and Shelby too. Shelby, also Grayson, Coach Grayson, them up there in Shelby, they got a great baseball team too, and they went pretty deep a few years ago too in the state tournament and so forth. They came short of the World Series, American Legion World Series, but yeah, Grayson and them, they good ball team. So we look forward to seeing them too as well, Shelby, and then you got Gastonia too, both of the Gastonia teams. And so, a lot of great baseball.
And then past year, I mean, Union County, they won Area 4. Another team that traditionally hadn't been there, but, boy, they had a great team last year and actually hosted the state tournament.
They did.
They actually won it, but they were the Area 4 representative, and they were the best team in the Area 4 last year.
And I'll tell you, Ken, that's some of the best baseball post-100 and some of the funnest baseball that I've heard my boys and other kids and stuff, but for me and you going up there watching them, you've been going up there since the 80s. You've watched all the great teams and stuff like that. It's just fun for the kids. Coach Reynolds makes it fun for them. And it's competitive. He wants to win, but he makes it fun for them as well as the people coming out and stuff like that. It's some of the best baseball you ever be around. And
I enjoy just watching it, watching Coach Reynolds coach, talking with some of the loyal fans are there, and just talking baseball in general. And I look forward to it every year. And some people don't understand why you love baseball so much. It's a great American game. And
it is.
Here's the thing
that's
interesting. You can go to a baseball game, Tim, no matter how many games you've ever been to, baseball games, and you're liable to see something you've never seen before. Let me ask you a question. I don't know whether you remember this or not. You remember a kid that played for post 100 who got on base, stole second base, third base, and then stole home, all gets the same pitcher in the same inning.
That was Alec.
That was Alec, your son.
I was thinking there.
And here's the thing about it. Allen had average speed, but he wasn't a base stealer or anything. But you didn't have a pitcher or catchers that
he
very
got a
good.
Base hit too. Kid.
Base hit.
He had a base hit.
Stole second, stole third, and he had a catcher that was just lobbing it back to the pitcher.
And he was timing him.
He timed it, and he lobbed that thing slowly back to the pitcher. He took off on secondary
standing
steal.
Up, did not
standing
slide.
Up, didn't even have a chance to make the throw. But I'm just saying, who would have guessed you would see that?
I have never seen it.
I've never seen
it
that since.
before.
It's possible. That's the first time
I've never seen it in the pros.
No, I haven't either. No. But that's just an example. You never know what you're going to see.
Well, I mean, that's also shows how smart he was.
Yeah.
It shows how smart the team is.
Yeah.
And then you take another kid, Carl Jackson, who had 6 hits in one game up at Taylorsville.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't make out. I think he had like 14 or 15 hits in a row. He couldn't make it out.
Yeah, Hunter Jackson. He was just skilling the ball. I mean,
that's Carlton Jackson's brother plays.
And Hunter reminded me when he hit a little bit like Altuve for Houston. Altuve sometime will whack that fastball that's up in his eyes. Well, Hunter would do that sometime. He'd jump on that fastball even though it might be in his eyes and hit that thing. So.
You talking about kids that played in the past at Cherville Post 100, Ken. I mean, you got Ralph Roberts. I mean, he's a legend.
Oh, absolutely.
You got Chris Mason, who is a legend. I mean, these guys are just unbelievable baseball players. And Ralph went on, I think, to the Braves. Is that right?
Yeah, he signed with the Braves organization and played in minor leagues and for a good many years before he
went as a pitcher. If he went as a player, he probably would have made it.
I would have think so. I thought he was a better player and hitter than he was a pitcher.
Tell the story about where he walked up to the plate without the bat.
Well, his last Legion year, he was so dominant, and his hitting home runs like crazy. You couldn't get him out. And so the other team just started walking him. They wouldn't pitch to him. They just throw him forward, And so Coach Reynolds sent him up there without a bat.
And they still walked him.
They still walked him. They didn't have a weapon in his hand.
Now, that's classic right there.
Like you say, when's the last time you seen that in a game?
That's classic,
You never know.
Ken. That's unbelievable. That's some great stories there of Post 100 Cherville. So, and they're always big rivals with South Caldwell. That's fun too.
Yeah, they when those two get together, the fans, they're going back and forth. It's always a lot of fun, and I've had a lot of fun when they played Caldwell County, both up there at Caldwell County and here at Cherville.
And also, Ken, some NASCAR news. Let's get to that right quick before we end our show. NASCAR news out there. Joey Logano wins the Toyota Owners 400 in Richmond. And then you got Kyle Larson, who still leads the points, followed by Martin Truex Jr. and Chase Elliott and Logano. So,
a lot of those young guys right up there.
How about your NBA playoffs, Ken? Who you got?
Well, we got the first round series over. Right now, you got Cleveland in the East. You got Cleveland and Toronto. Cleveland's got up 1-0 on that. Boston leads Washington 2-0. On the west side, Golden State leads Utah 1-0, and Houston leads San Antonio 1-0. I'm still expecting what everybody else is. They're coming out of the East. You'll have Cleveland coming out of the West. You'll be Golden State.
Yeah. Is Golden State going to win it?
That's who I'm predicting will win it. We'll see. That's who I'm predicting will win it.
Yeah, I don't see anybody beating Golden State.
No, I don't.
They're going to score what, 130, 120, 130 points.
They're going to put some points on the board.
They're going to put some points on the board. All right, Kenny. All right, Ken. Let's see here. We'll be back next Wednesday from 4 to 5 here on WCSL, and also you can catch us on Facebook too, Ken.
Yeah. One thing I want to add about the NFL draft and NFL news is Buffalo, where Sean McDermott, the ex defensive coordinator for the Panthers, went. They fired the GM of Buffalo Sunday morning, right after the draft finished on Saturday. Yeah. Evidently, it was already in the works. I think McDermott probably was making the decisions on the draft and who was coming in there. But they got rid of him real quick. They're cleaning house, and the story is that they're very interested in the assistant GM with the Panthers, Brandon Beam. So they'll be talking to him.
Absolutely. So that's good for him. You know, in the Panthers, that's what you do.
I understand
you work your way up.
He came there and was involved in communication early on, been there almost 20 years and just worked his way up. And he's probably Gettleman's salary man as far as salary cap numbers and all that kind of thing. He does all this churning on that.
All righty, Ken, that's going to do it for the Best in Sports here on WCSL on a Wednesday afternoon. Like I say, we'll be back next Wednesday.
And look forward to talk to you about a lot more sports. And we'll be ready to preview a little bit, maybe the baseball playoffs, who I understand start next Wednesday, May 10th in high school.
Check us out on Twitter and the Best in Sports on Facebook, too. I'm Tim Johnson, Ken Leake. We'll see you guys here next week.
The only station you need at work.
All day long. Constantly.
Big O Country, WCSL, 1590 AM, Cherryville, Gastonia. Online at KTCBroadcasting.com. I'm Calvin Hastings, and I want to invite you to join the boss as we broadcast live this Saturday, May 6th, for the Nissan of Shelby Community Yard Sale. We'll be there from 7 a.m. till 11 a.m. We'll have free sausage biscuits from the